welcome to Business Focus. I am Maria Adu Zakari. The year 2023 was a challenging one for the global economy. Coming home to Nigeria, one would say the year started on a turbulent and controversial note, as businesses and families were subjected to anguish over the Naira redesign and cash withdrawal limit policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria. It did not end there. Some economists say the removal of subsidy on PMS upon swearing in of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu further increased the level of hardship. It is no longer news that these issues, coupled with the double-digit inflation rate which stood at 28.20% as of November, have been on the front burner, with concerns around the impact this would have on the nation's economy. The big question would perhaps be, what extent did these issues have highlighted impact the economy? In clear terms, we'll look at 2023 Nigeria's economy. Do stay tuned. We'll begin with the stock market. Don't go nowhere.
About complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria, on Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus. Hello there. Worried about complexities and dynamics of business in Nigeria? On Business Focus, we bring you insights from the forefront of industry innovation, business news, latest figures from the stock market with in-depth analysis and even market survey. Let's journey through the ever-evolving world of business and economics, where we decode the latest market moves and provide you with the knowledge to navigate the intricate web of business challenges. This is Business Focus.
Welcome back from that break. We're going to look at the equity market now. We'll start with the highest trades. And for the highest trade, we have Transco at 34% and Access Bank at 28% trades. And we have WAPIC at 11 trades at the volume of 16,834 at the value of 11,278. Let's look at the top gainers for today. And for the top gainers, we have IMG at positive 10%, Transco at positive 10% also, and Okomo Oil at positive 9.96%. Next, we'll look at the bottom losers for today. And we have John Holt at negative 10%. We have Ella Lakes at negative 9.94% and Triple G at negative 9.66%. Next, we'll look at the high performer on the commodity, and we have nickel topping the list at 1.83%. We have EEX Strom at positive 1.47%, and lumber at positive 1.35%. Let's take a look at the next top performer on the commodity market. The next performer would look at agriculture. For agriculture, we are starting with cotton. Cotton tops the list at 0.01%, oats at 0.03%, and lumber at 7.50%. Let's take a look at another commodity for today. Yes, as of close of market, industrial metals topped with aluminium at positive 2.09%, lead at positive 5.44%, and iron ore at positive 0.34%. Let's take a look at the next commodity. We have energy. On the list, we have natural gas topping the list with negative 4.20%, and ethanol with positive 0.05%, and heating oil at positive 0.74%. Let's take a look at the next commodity. We have precious metals. Gold tops the list at positive 0.29%, and palladium comes next with negative 0.38%, and platinum comes third on the list with positive 0.22%. That's it from the equity market for today. We will begin with the interview segment where we'll be discussing 2023 economy. Do stay tuned. break, we are going to look at the economy 2023. And with me to discuss this is Mr. Adefolari Olamilekan, a political economist and lead researcher at Eco Analytics. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Business Focus.
Thanks for having me. Very good morning to all our viewers today.
Welcome, sir. So it's a few days to a new year.
Exactly.
So we're going to look at this year before it ends.
Exactly.
So what exactly how has the economy fared as of today?
I think what built up to what we have in 2023 as economy is what really happened in 2022.
True.
So the fallout of what happened in 2022 was the build up to 2023. Particularly, let's take the issue of inflation. Okay. By the end of 2022, we're already having inflation getting close to 21%.
Sure.
So by the time we started in January, we started with about 22% inflation. GDP for first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter that we have it right now. Sure. Then you also remember that it was a build up into political transition period from 2022 to 2023. Sure. So definitely by the end of May 2029, we have a new government in place that now issue a new economic policy. Sure. Looking at the floating of the FX market and unification of the FX market. They're looking at the subsidy removal, as well as other initiatives that cut across monetary policy, fiscal policy, and trade policy. So at the end of the day, what we are having towards the end of 2023 right now is the impact of what the government has been able to achieve, a background from 2022 into 2023, and now we are exceeding 2023 into 2024.
So, sir, would you say, how would you say has the change in the government coming in with new policies, how has that affected the economy, talking about the GDP and everything else involved?
I think practically the policy of the outgoing government was more or less something that the new government take into cognizance, rebranded it and push it out. But we must say at this point in time, what happened globally on the global economy scale also is what also transfer or transmitted or happen at the local terrain that we are in Nigeria. So it's an influence of what happened globally that we are looking at. Particularly if you look at the price of crude oil, talking about the global inflation that we're even mentioning about, all as a reflection of what happened outside the Nigerian territory. Then the new government that came in, or the one that exited, they have policy in place, particularly policy that has to do with deficit in government spending. Many of us didn't take cognizance that in the first quarter of 2023, the government that was leaving, that handed over power to new government in 2020, spent over 2.6 trillion as deficit, 1.4 trillion as deficit, and they spent so much money going out. Then part of the money they spent also inflated in the second quarter of the year. Then it was the third quarter of the year that we now have a lesser deficit in expenditure of government. So we must look at that in relation to the policy of the government. If you look at the policy of the government, particularly the one that has to do with quasi-intervention in the economy, giving out money as cosmetic or ad hoc policy to ensure that the economy stabilizes. You discover that government was spending more, but there is no reflective result on what government was expecting. So the government that left, the new one that came, both have not really impacted the economy the way Nigeria expected. Although they have been spending money, but the money has not given them the objective reality of what they wanted for the economy.
So you mentioned the first and second quarter where there was high deficit.
Exactly.
And then the third quarter, it was actually a bit less.
Exactly.
So what brought about that?
I think what really brought about that was that, when the outgoing government was going out, they ensured that they pay certain allowances, so several packages for the people outgoing politicians, appointees, and they paid a lot of people.
Everybody got their share.
Exactly, they got their own share. So when the second quarter came, part of that has not been exhausted. So they still pay part of it. So it was in the third quarter it now came down a little. Because in the second quarter it was 2.6 trillion stuff amount that was spent. Then in fourth quarter 1.4 trillion. Then in fourth quarter it came down to 2.4 trillion. So they have been spending money, but that money has not reflected to oil the economy as expected. Although we can say that the current government also have the ambitions to stabilize the economy, to engine the economy to spending. But that spending is not reflected on what we expect. That's why at the end of the day, they were going for a third round of 1.7 trillion as added to the current 2022 budget, because they discovered that the money was not enough, and that's why they have to do so.
Sure. So, Mr. Adefolari, there is on ground already that you cannot talk about inflation without talking about the removal of fuel subsidy.
Exactly.
So Is the outcome of the fuel subsidy what we expected? Because we expected inflation, but did we, the economists that is, expect it to be that much?
No, I definitely we anticipated it, because on the global stand, we have seen inflation going high and high on the global stand. If you look at global economy inflation, it has gotten above 5%. In Europe, in America, they are having challenges around their inflation. Same thing with other developed countries, China and the rest of them. But in our own climate, we have not been able to do it in a way that would have helped us to ensure that that inflation is reduced. Because one of the things that, putting pressure on our inflation in Nigeria, because we are import-dependent country, we have to acknowledge that.
True.
Most of the things that we are getting using here, if you check this studio, over
not made here.
Made here, so we import them. Then apart from physical or monetary policy of the government, are also influencing and making inflation to go in high. One of them is the monetary policy of 18.75% interest rate. It's also giving problem. Then look at the other aspect of government spending that doesn't attract productive of the economy. We are only giving money to people to say they are doing agriculture, but at the end of the day, they are not doing anything. Everybody collect money. That's why the 1.5 trillion that CBN said they spent on Anchor Borrower, they can't give account of it. So at the end of the day, inflation is just choking up whatever government
from
is
our
angle. And don't forget that we also have debt. And we also have security bills, papers, and the rest of them that we are selling. And at the end of the day, when it comes back, we pay more. So debt servicing, as World Bank released the information 2 days back, that the entire people owing World Bank and the rest of them have spent over 442 billion in debt servicing. And I remember early this year, CBN came out and said every month the entire national debt servicing is about 122 billion on monthly basis. So all this put together is what have resulted to the inflation challenges that we are having today. But we must not forget that there are some greedy elements in the system that are also making inflation to look more like it is not just technical aspect of the economic principle, but also because of greed in the system that is making inflation to be what it is, 22.20% as we speak right now.
So, Mr. Adefolarin, moving forward now, you mentioned greed. How should we manage it as a country?
Definitely, it's going to be very difficult, because some people have said that psychologists will tell you, sociologists will tell you, greed is part and parcel of humanity, in a sense that we understand
manage
it. Now, if you want to manage it per se,
yes,
it's going to be very difficult, because we are in a system that practices capitalism, private ownership of means of production. A businessman will tell you that I spent 1 million to invest in a particular business. Will you tell him how to make profit on that business? It's going to be very difficult, and that's why they have said it's a free economy. And it's going to manage free economy is going to be very difficult. And that's why we see that even if government want to put any policy in place now to either price control, we see a lot of people that are kicking this in. But I said we are going to speak to the morals and to the ethics and begin to engineer people that see this is the best way to do these things. If you go to China today, government controls certain aspects of the economy in a way that people can now to put prices on goods and services. It will go a long way. In Europe, government does that too, but they don't do it in a way that some of us want to do it. In early this year in UK, the inflation was getting higher. A price of milk and bread was getting higher. The government came in with a very softy policy that reduced the price. And the people nobody feel the impact, in the sense that people didn't feel the impact that the businesses are losing. But government made sure that people get a good price for the product they want to consume. We can do it here, but how many people will support the government to ensure this is done? And that's where we have the problem.
Okay, so you mentioned policy by the UK to suppress a certain difficulty on the citizenry.
Exactly.
In Nigeria, for example, towards the end of the year, the president mentioned that there will be 50% of public transport. And when you actually go to the parks, when you meet people and then you go to the parks, it's like the government give a list of commuters that that are in the system. Shouldn't it run towards, because we are plenty. We are a 200 million citizenry here. So just those on the list are not enough to cater for the Nigerians traveling towards the end of the year. A lot of people travel towards the end of the year. So that's a policy. But did it really achieve its aim? Because a lot of us couldn't travel.
Exactly.
Because it's not, we are plenty, it's not enough.
Exactly.
It's filled up, the car parks are filled up and everything.
It's true. You know, the thing is that we need to understand that a formal sector in the transport sector and informal sector. The numbers of the people in the informal sector and transport sector are more than the formal sector in the transport. People that government organize and known, all the big transport companies in this world, they are not up to 50. But the ones that are out of that range, there are millions of them.
True.
Like the motor park that you talk about. Nobody knows The owners, they are privately owned transport companies, so or privately owned buses and the rest of them. So government doesn't take account of those. Government really take account of people they can take responsibility for. Then the other one they cannot take responsibility for. That is where the people are going.
To
get their transport and go anywhere they want to go. But
and they wouldn't pick you up because they've not been paid the 50%
exactly. So the suggestion to government is this: next time when government want to do this kind of thing, get your own buses, because at the end of the day we are still going to have noise around these 22 or 25 of them that government identify. We are still going to be hearing the news that we are not paid. Some of us are not paid. Some of us are underpaid. Some of us are not even known at all. Or the corrupt crisis that we normally have in the system will also cripple into that kind of thing. So what I'm trying to point out is that when government want to do this kind of largesse for the people, organize yourself and do it the way you want to do it. You see what the Nigerian Labour Congress said when they heard about this policy. They say it's a confused policy. And it is true. It's confused in the sense that, one, you don't know how many people that those guys are going to carry. You don't know how much those guys are already charging before you now came with your 50% reduction. Then how many of them, how many passengers do they are going to carry at the end of the day? They're going to amount to the 50% or 100% you're going to pay them at the end of the day. So what we are suggesting,
and did you even plan for the 50%?
Definitely. So what we suggested when I was on another sister platform was that government would have arranged buses and use a CNG policy transmission as a test run, because government want to transit from fossil fuel buses to CNG. They would now get those buses together and use it as a test run and carry the people across Nigeria instead of giving somebody 50%.
Hitting two birds with one stone.
Definitely, that would have been the best way government would have tested this policy instead of throwing it out there. At the end of the day, we hear the normal noise: corruption, probe, investigation, and others.
True, very true, sir. Okay, so we'll go on a short break. Mr. Adefolarin, we'll go on a short break. We'll be right back to keep discussing the 2023 economy. Just stay tuned. Welcome back from that break. We are discussing the 2023 economy on Politics and Business TV. Mr. Adefolarin, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so talking about the economy, we cannot omit the fact that we have a new administration at the Apex Bank.
Exactly.
So the Cardoso-led team now have orthodox implement tools to implement the monetary policies and capitalization of banks and all of that. So what's your thought on all of that?
It's quite a laudable aspect of the policy from the leader of CBN right now, that they want to practice orthodox, because the previous CBN governor practiced what they call heterodox monetary policy, which I love, because it is the alternative that doesn't allow external forces to implement ideas into you. But this time around, external forces is going to implement ideas into the current CBN, and that's what it means. Although we remember that the other previous CBN governor failed. It started well with the heterodox monetary policy, which ensured that you protect your economy. But this time around, the heterodox monetary policy will not allow you to protect your economy. Rather, it will open your economy. And that's why I see that the man is talking about price stabilization. You won't be able to do that with importation, that he went and removed ban on 41 items that would help us to stabilize local production of those 41 items that will not have access to forex. Then it talks about bank capitalization. It means that foreigners are going to come in to invest into our banking sector. Then at the end of the day, if those guys discover that there is a little shaky here, they will take away their money. They also talk about aspects whereby it's going to stop intervention in programs that the former CBN governor was doing. I mean, quasi-intervention in certain sector of the economy, particularly agriculture and the rest of them, which was quite, we knew that it was because of wrong management that caused that one problem, but he is saying that he's not going to do that. I think these are the gadget of what he wanted to do. But for me, orthodox monetary policy will open the economy to certain influences in terms of the policy direction of the government. And that's why I see that unification of the forex market has not really given us what we want. Rather, we unify one aspect, but the rest are still multiple forex market is still existing. The BDC are still there, the Bureau de Change are still there, the black marketers are still there, the speculators are still there, the round tripping, all of them are still there. And you say you want to unify the market. You can't unify the market under orthodox policy, monetary policy. Because orthodox monetary policy is just a sister principle of economic principle close to free market economy. So the FX market will be open and everybody can participate. But guess what? Everybody participating means that everybody that comes to participate must gain. Then what will happen to the government? In this way, also, the orthodox policy is also encouraging government subsidizing of the forex market. We are still selling at 750. So when you buy, when somebody, all the stakeholders come to the market to buy it at 750, they bring it out, go to any nearby black market and sell it for 800. Then the black market are selling at 1,000. We have not achieved anything.
True.
So that is the problem of orthodox monetary policy that the current CBN want to undertake. And the reason why he's doing that was that because he saw the failure in heterodox monetary policy of the previous CBN governor. But it was because of the selfish and greedy interests of the previous CBN governor that made heterodox monetary policy to fail. Countries that practice heterodox monetary policy, they are gaining it. That is what China is relying on. Other developed countries mix orthodox monetary policy and heterodox monetary policy together. They have a balance of it, whereby you don't allow influences of policies from outside to impact on your banking sector.
True.
But here we are, it's going to happen under this current CBN government. We just wish them the best of luck. But we must always tell them that what they are doing, if it's good, we applaud them. If it's wrong, we tell them this is wrong. Like the 41 items that was banned, I was also given opportunity to now access forex. We told them this is wrong. Because initially, under the heterodox policy, CBN, the former CBN was already giving money to manufacturing sector to be producing those 41 items here in Nigeria, and they are gaining market. Furniture market was gaining, palm oil production was gaining, another accessory product was gaining. But all of a sudden, we are now allowing cheap product to come into importation. They will not create employment, they will not have offices, they will not pay more taxes, they will rather cripple the economy and discourage local production. And guess what? Technology that would have been developed locally will bastardize and will only rely on foreign technology. And that's what it means to the economy.
So, Mr. Adefalarin, you mentioned this particular 41 items being banned. What other policies should have this particular government retained from the past government?
I think for me, the forex aspect would have been retained. Okay. Now, after the forex aspect have been retained, in the sense that we putting those threshold measure on those 41 items not to have access to official forex, we would have given opportunity that will let us encourage local manufacturing. That is the Buy Nigerian agenda that started in 1999, but we are killing it gradually, and we are finally buried it as we speak right now because we are allowing people to import it without thinking of locally producing it. And it's a discouragement to people like us who are into economic policies and research because we hope that the economy can be protected. Rather, the economy is being open to all manner of bullets and missiles from different sides of the country or outside the country, and it's going to affect us. I remember when the former president put close the border, it generated a lot of impact through poultry businesses and the rest of them. But because of this kind of policy that is coming up, it will kill local initiative. It will destroy it. Flour, which is produced here in Nigeria, now flour will be imported, sugar will be imported, all those items will be imported. So what will happen to local production? It will die. That's how they did kill the textile industry in Nigeria. True. By allowing so much importation of those things. And they destroyed the Kaduna. Over 200 textile mills in Kaduna died. Now we have over 100 of rice mill system sprinkling up in Kano, KB, in Lagos. True. Now because of importation of all these rices, they will die. Next year now we'll be talking of there is no more Nigerian rice. We should just know that it was the policy of the CBN that killed all those initiatives.
Okay. Mr. Adefalaria, let's talk about the poverty level in Nigeria. As of last year, I have it here that 100 people were poor, and now we have 4 million additional poor people.
Exactly. That you are talking about the real poverty, not the multidimensional poverty, yes. Because that's the multidimensional poverty. Now, the issue of poverty has been something that the global world has not been able to address. And there's no way the global world to address, especially when we are following all these World Bank, IMF, United Nations principles on how to address poverty. And third world countries, sub-Saharan Africa, must be very careful when these guys are giving you the principles of how to address poverty. The way to address poverty is to create jobs. And to create that job, create jobs through manufacturing. There are a lot of raw material in Africa that can be turned into finished goods. Nobody talking about that. What they're telling people, go and teach them how to skills, tailoring skills, barbing skills, how to repair iPhone 7, iPhone. Those ones will not create jobs. The one that will create jobs is cottage industries. There are a lot of things that can be turned to simple manufacturing things that we can sell outside the country. You have heard about pharmaceutical company closing shops. Why are they closing shops? I critically look at that one and see that they were selfish, and that's why they have to go. Because for 20-25 years they are operating in Nigeria, none of them invest in research that will help them to reduce the cost of their production. Because what they allow was that OPS, that means operational cost expenditure, was made them to leave. But after 25-30 years operating, you never knew how to solve the problem of your cost production costs by researching into raw material that could help you produce drugs in Nigeria. We are still relying on foreign material to produce drugs, and that's why they left. Although they cite the issue of energy costs and the rest of them, what stopped them from investing also in energy costs that will help them to address? So when we don't point all these things to these people, you think that to create employment or to solve poverty problem is by teaching people skills. It's beyond skills.
Sure.
What Nigeria needs is not one-man skills job. We need multi-dimensional skill job that will help you to tie people to industrialization, to factories. That's the way to create jobs. By the time 100 people are getting job in one village, another 100 in one village. But when you come and teach 20 people how to do tailoring. You teach 20 people how to do fashion design. At the end of the day, they will finish, you give them startup pack, they will not continue.
They will eat it.
They will eat it
and
sleep. But when you create factory, cottage industry that people can go and work and earn sustainable income, that's how to end poverty. But here in Nigeria, we're still following the same rigmarole principles that they are giving to us. To create poverty or to end poverty is to train people's skills and change the skill dimensional aspect. It doesn't work that way. All to end poverty in China was factories. From the rural center to the urban center to the city center, it is factory. The rural center produce the raw material, transform it, package it, give it to the urban sub-city area. Then those ones are the main factories. They turn into finished goods, take it to the main city. The main city will do what? Export it. That is how to turn poverty around and reduce poverty. But here in Nigeria, we are still following the principles, training people. When they give NGO money to go and train people, they will say they are training 1,000. You discover it's only 500 they train. Is that how to end poverty?
So everybody is selfish, like you mentioned.
Definitely, that's what is happening.
So, Mr. Adefolari, let's talk about cash scarcity. We started the year with cash scarcity, and we are ending it with cash scarcity. The initial cash scarcity that's at the beginning of the year was due to the redesign of the Naira and cash withdrawal limit by the CBN.
Exactly.
So now, what is the problem exactly? Because the CBN mentioned they have enough cash moving around.
Exactly.
But we don't see it.
We need to tell ourselves the truth. Beginning of the year, we had 3.7 trillion naira out of the banking vault that the CBN want to take in. That was why they introduced the limit, cash limit. Now they succeeded, they bring in the naira design, and everybody had lesser money with them. But you discover that the 3.7 million was not in the hand of poor people. It was in the hand of kidnappers, terrorists, and some big men. So government was successfully retrieved some of this money, and they had about 1.7 trillion before this new CBN government came. Now, this current CBN said orthodox monetary policy. What it means is that they are monitoring the money that is flowing across the country. And they will tell you that one of the things to reduce inflation is to take away money from people so that they will not be buying things. You know, the principle of economy is that the more money in the hands of people, the higher they'll be chasing supply of goods. And the supply of goods, when it's not meeting the demand of the people, what will happen? The price will go up. It's an economic principle. Now, to chase and to reduce that, they now begin to withdraw cash in the system. Okay. That cash limit is still there operating, although they say it's not operating, but it is in principle. In principle means that you can go to your bank, collect your 100,000, but when you are spending that 100,000, they will find a way to collect it back from you. They will go to a bank will give you 10,000. You go to a bank will give you 20,000. That's how they are doing it. But the problem still falls back to that. They want to use it to reduce inflation, but it's not working here in Nigeria. It's not economic principle that it is culturally endowed. It is borrowed principle. When people have money, Africans want to spend, they want to eat. That's how we operate.
Enjoy the money.
They want to enjoy the money. But in Europe, they manage themselves. The government put out such principles. It works for them, but yeah, it doesn't work. And that's why we have found ourselves in this dilemma that there's scarcity of cash. CBN, they know what they are doing. Although they have said that the bank are cooperating with the POS people to shop change Nigeria and to spread Nigeria. But we know that it is a principle they are using to extract those excess funds in the system. But we know that that excess fund is not in the hand of me and you. It is in the hand of the big men and whoever has vault or big bank vault in the south that kept a large cash of money in their vault. That's the kind of people. But CBN doesn't know how to catch those people. So they use the poor people as scapegoats to extract such from them. And that is what they are doing. So that's why we're having this scarcity of money. They knew about it. It's a principle they are trying to implement to ensure that they also fight inflation. But in the other way around, it doesn't fight inflation. Rather, it exaggerates inflation the more. And that's what we found ourselves.
It actually does. Mr. Adefolari, you mentioned that the policy is borrowed. So what can we do towards making our own policies and and what works for us, because we are borrowing almost everything.
Exactly.
So what can we do to get ours? Do we need to do more research, get more professors? What exactly can we do to have something that is unique to Nigeria, that works for Nigeria, like what China did and worked for them?
I always give this example of the China cubs and the China and the big tiger, the Asian tigers and the Asian cubs. The Asian cubs are the Malaysia, the Indonesia. The Asian tiger are the China, the Korea, and the rest of them. They are bigger ones. They have developed. So what the Asian cubs did was to learn from the Asian tigers. Although the principles that all of them are following is the free market economy, but they domicile it, they culturalize it, and impact their people. We don't need more professors. All those professors already know. They already know what to do. But the thing is that what will the government of the day take out of every principle? Like orthodox policy that the current CBN governor Cardoso wants to implement now. Look at it. Price stabilization. What is price stabilization? How to ensure that the price of goods doesn't go beyond the reach of everybody. Now it falls back to the value of your currency. How do you stabilize your value of your currency is also in consonant with how to stabilize price. Now, to stabilize naira is to ensure that we have productivity, we are producing, and we are exporting more, we are earning more dollar. There are 5 strings of means whereby we earn forex, that means we earn dollar. Now, we sell crude oil, we borrow money, which is loan. Then we have FDI, foreign direct investment, and foreign direct portfolio, which come to the what they call the stock market that you just talk about now, and the ones that big concrete investment. Then we also have grants and aids that come from other aspects. Then we also have remittances from our brothers and sisters abroad. These are the 5 ways we earn dollar into the country. Now, when all these are not working for us, which one is the best? Export. We shouldn't just be exporting crude oil. We should also be exporting finished product, and that is how to bring stabilization to the price. When you don't do all that, it affects you. The government should also reduce securities. That is selling treasury paper here and there. We have sold over 15 different papers that are going to mature by end of 2030 and 2035. What it means is that the more papers we are selling, the more government is borrowing money, the more we'll be paying in terms of debt. Our current debt is now 88.79 trillion naira. You get it? So by the time you put all this together, price stability will not work when we don't have a measurement or a measure or control over how our value of our currency is managed. And to manage the value of the currency is to ensure we are productive enough and to also block holes and gaps where people are stealing and looting our treasury. Sure. If we don't take care of those things, there's no way price stability will work. And to domicile it means that we must look at our productive sector. CBN should go back to the policy of allowing all manner of things to access forex. Which one can we take out and which one can we allow? And that is the best way. But if we say we want to do price stability or price stabilization and the currency is devaluing on its own technically or manually or any otherwise, there's no way price stability will work. And the best way to tackle price stability is local production. Make the economy to be productive and make export-oriented economy. And that is how price stability can work. Any other thing we are talking about price stability and borrowing money, taking templates from IMF and World Bank, it's just jamboree. Because at the end of the day, what will measure your price stability is the balance of your trade deficit and balance. If it is too much, that means price stability will not work.
Okay, so Mr. Adefolarin, looking forward, would say that you mentioned that last year affected this year.
Exactly.
So with the inflation in place, with the removal of subsidy in place, with poverty levels in place, with the new government and CBN and the nation at large, what do you think next year would look like?
2024, the reflection of 2024 is already here. Now we have a budget of, what was the total budget for 2024? 27 trillion naira. Now it's going out. Out of that money, the government is targeting 18 trillion naira as revenue. Government is also having a deficit of about 10 trillion, and they're going to borrow about 7 trillion out of it. Now, inflation, they say they're going to target 24, they are targeting 24, is it 24 or 21%, now out of the 28 that we are going now. Then they're also looking at GDP of 3.7%. If at the end of the day, we don't work well with the budget of 2022 that we are going to use, because it is the budget of the government that will stabilize the economy. Sure. And 2022 budget already is just around 52% in performance and implementation. So how will 2024 be? For me, I'm just anticipating. It will be good, but it will not be a balanced good. Some sector will enjoy, some sector will not enjoy. Some sector will have a buffer, some sector will be let loose. Particularly sector like agriculture, because of insecurity, definitely they may not contribute much to the economy. And again, issue of flooding, they may not contribute much to the economy. Then sector like security, a lot of money is coming to the security, but are they coming to ensure that there is technology implementation in security, or the same way we have been doing it? Then health and education, A lot of money is coming. You use just money to be paying people salary and now investing in our curriculum or on the teaching practice. Then what about health? It's just money to be paying, because if you look at those budget by item line by line, mostly it's going for issues of recurrent expenditure, salaries, allowances, emoluments. But the one that will inculcate and engineer the economy, the concrete aspect of it, they are missing. We just hope that, anticipatively, for me, I would say it's going to be a mixed reaction or a mixed feeling or a mixed result come 2024.
Okay. Mr. Defalarin, we mentioned that 2023 we had a lot of poverty.
Exactly.
Would we say we should see a change in that in the coming year?
That is, the government will maybe before 31st of 2020, they are going to change the manifesto they are going to use to fight poverty in 2020. But if it's the same giving up money.
If there's no change in government.
No, I'm not talking about changing government. Now they want to give 109 market, 50,000 to market women. How would that solve? The previous government gave 10,000 naira to people. Poverty is still there. They are going to give 75 billion to MSMEs. The former government gave over 500 billion to MSME, 1 trillion to farmers. Didn't change anything. If we are going to fight poverty the way we've been fighting poverty since 1999, I hope that in 2024 we're going to end poverty. It will not work because we are still using the same material, the same idea, the same tools with same people to fight poverty. It won't work.
So now what should we do? I've
said it earlier. Productivity of the economy. Cottage industry from the river. Every villages in Nigeria has something to offer in terms of precious stone, raw material, solid material, crude oil. Why can't we establish businesses that will transform those things, bring them to the urban center, transform them, take it to the city center, and export it? That is how to end poverty. Not giving people handout or cosmetic idea, train them, empower them, motorcycle, keke, machine, drying machine. It doesn't end poverty. Ask people that have been giving all those things, where are they? Some of them will sell it. Including people that are collecting conditional cash transfer of 5,000 naira, they will just collect the money. And they'll come and tell you that they didn't receive anything from the government. So is that the way to end poverty? You should learn from Asian corps how they end poverty. It is productivity, employment for the people at the rural grassroots area, then to the city centers, then export those products. Simple. That is just how to end poverty.
Okay, so you mentioned that we produce locally. We produce locally means we need investors.
Exactly.
Which means we still need people from outside.
Definitely.
Okay. So they come in, they invest, and then you mentioned if they're not too okay with the environment,
exactly.
that is, they would pack and leave. Already we have lost like 5 multinational firms
exactly.
in 10 months. So how would you say they would stay?
The ones that will stay are the ones that have the wisdom to change the narrative of their business. They are going to invest in research. They are here to do business. They are not here for Father Christmas. Neither are they here for the government to also make Father Christmas to them. And the people are not here to also come and collect their goods and services for free. So they must invest in research. iPhone, iPad, and the rest of them, they are going to China to go and do business. What do you think they are going there to do? They are investing in research. So why is it that when they come to Sub-Saharan Africa, they don't want to invest in research? They will spend 30 years, 40 years. They will not do one research that will help them to reduce the cost of their production. The oil exploring companies that have been operating in the Niger Delta that have been exploring for 35 years. What investment in terms of research are they doing? Not until when the Nigerian government announced we have to establish an agency called National Content Development Commission that will now be looking at local content into oil and gas sector. That's when they begin to change their own narrative. So can we have the same applied to all these foreign investors in their sector? And most of them, when they come, it's FPIO they do. They go to all stock index and invest money. The moment there is a little shaking, they sell their shares and run away. The ones that will be concrete investment, they will complain about power. Definitely there is problem of power. And the government is already, there's a law in place now that have done the dichotomy about power. State governors cannot take responsibility. Also building power plants or generating power electricity for themselves. So all this will encourage them, and these are the things that will make the foreign investors stay. But the ones that want to stay, that understand the rudiment of the Nigerian environment system, they will stay. We have companies that are still over 50 years. What do they do to remain relevant? Is because they have understood the peculiarity of our environment. Research, invest part of your whatever you are doing into the research. To reduce production, to reduce cost of production is very easy. Just understand the raw material that is available in that country and you make use of it. And that's what all these big companies are running to China, because China has the labor and they have the raw material. The same thing in Nigeria, we have the labor, we have the raw material. Those pharmaceutical companies that left, they have forgotten that 99.9% of what they are using to produce all those medication they are producing is here in Nigeria, and we also have the raw material. When they tell you that we don't have skills, I normally describe we have the skills. After all, the skills that you found in other places, you train them, you empower them. True. But the only thing I know that we don't have the technological know-how, but we can learn it and implement it.
We actually have some going out to learn it and to come back to implement it. So we're talking about 2024 now. Ms. Adefolarin, the inflation rate as of now is global.
Exactly.
Okay. So looking ahead to the next year, would you say there would still be inflation? Because the CBN governor initially stated that there would be inflation from the beginning of his tenure to till further everything would settle, which means with the removal of subsidy and the inflation rate, everything would settle and stabilize. Even the naira would stabilize.
Exactly.
So what external influences would you say would have on that?
There's also a international price transmission of goods and services. Look at the price of crude oil and look at the price of all those commodities that you rated when you are doing all stock index marketing analysis. Those things also affect local prices of goods and services, especially country that doesn't produce them. You get it? Like crude oil, for instance, if we continue to import and we are not refining, definitely there will be challenges. And you can see what is happening in OPEC now. Some people are pulling out because of that dictatorial aspect of OPEC in terms of production quota. Now, that production quota is what is helping OPEC to control price of crude oil. Now, if that is not done, definitely there will be a challenge for OPEC, and that's why they are putting that measure in place. The other aspect of goods and services that across the world, they are dictated as a result of inflation in their domicile countries where they are being produced. So when they dictate how this will work, and they all come together and give us what we call global inflation. So Nigeria will not exempted from that. So we must always have that challenge of inflation across board. But how to manage it locally is where we can do policy that when those issues are coming, we now domicile our policy. We culturalize our policy in a way to suit ourselves and suit our people and protect the economy. But here we are. In the CBN government say till whatever period, it means that it doesn't even know yet when the inflation will come because since we are borrowing policy that we are implementing, we have not culturalized, we have not environmentalized our policy. That will always be a challenge. We just hope that they will understand this aspect whereby when these policies are borrowed, let us look at the local environment reaction to it and see how we can help us and reduce the inflation in Nigeria.
Mr. Adefolarin, you mentioned the refineries. We have the Port Harcourt refinery being revived presently. We have the Dangote refinery has started producing. So what would you say? Should we expect that to make any impact on the next year?
It will, but we should also understand that Dangote is a private businessman. His target is not Nigeria solely. His target is West African coast, then to the middle of the Central African aspect. His target is West African region, then to the Central African region. Now, if by his gracious benevolence he want to help Nigeria, he supply the Nigerian local market, will it affect the prices? Not all, but at least a significant of it will happen. Just like the way NNPC is working now. NNPC will be selling at 670, another filling station will be selling at 620, 630. That's how Dangote to come. By the time he brings this product in, it will reduce, there will be a fight of price fight between importers and locally produced. So if the local supply can be more than importers, then the price will go down. But if the importers are still more than local producer, then the price will not go, because it's all based on supply and demand in terms of how he releases product into the economy. You remember when he started with the cement, but by the time he gained balance, the price of cement fall, and that's why we are having cement at that price that we're having. If it has continued that importation of cement is still higher than local production, then the price of cement would have gone more higher like that. So I expect that to also happen in the crude oil and the petroleum sector, kerosene, gas, and the rest of them.
Okay, so now we are very, very close to the new year. What's your projection for the coming year?
I think for me, the economy, I want to see a GDP of 3.7. Okay. First quarter of 2024. Okay. I want to say
is that not too ambitious?
It is ambitious, but that is a target. After all, the government said 3.7 for the entire year. But me, I'm setting for the first quarter of the year 3.7. So if we are fighting, after all, in the Buhari government set 3.3% for themselves for the first quarter of the year, and they got 2.51. Then second quarter they got 2.31. Then third quarter that Tinubu continue, then 2.54. So maybe this fourth quarter is coming, maybe it could be around 2.6 or thereabout. So when we set a higher target, it will make everybody to be serious and work. But when we set a lower target, it will make us unserious people. So 3.7 is my target for first quarter. And how it will happen is by the time all the local production, crude oil, Dangote, all come into fruition, it will help us and to engineer our economy. Because one of the power that help economy to grow is energy. So when the source of energy increases, then production will increase. But when the source of energy reduces, production will reduce. They're also looking at insecurity. If you can work on insecurity, definitely food production will also be higher. And I'm not praying. After our first quarter, we don't normally have higher incidence of ecological problems. So production, fadama farming, dry season farming, we expect them to produce corn, maize, and the rest of them for us.
So we are looking towards Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Adefolarin. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So Mr. Adefolarin beautifully broke everything down as of 2023. Looking forward, we are looking at a very happy new year, 2024. That's it for today on Business Focus from Politics and Business TV. I am Maria Adrozakari. Do stay blessed.